Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into some really powerful lyrics that get you thinking. Are we really in control of our lives? Or could it be that we're actually prisoners of our own identity? Let's jump in. This whole thing kicks off with a feeling I think we can all relate to. It's that constant buzz, right? From everywhere, society, our families, social media, all of it telling us what to do, who to be, what to want. It's this pressure that's just always there. But here's where it gets interesting. These lyrics take that idea of outside pressure and just flip it on its head. They suggest that maybe, just maybe, the biggest influence, the strongest prison, isn't built by all that outside noise. It's built by us. And that right there is what this explainer is all about. We're going to break down this incredible idea of the invisible prisons we build for ourselves, brick by brick, using our own memories and our own habits. Okay, so first things first. Let's talk about this unseen prison. What does it even mean to be trapped by your own identity? This line right here, this is the heart of it all, the big idea. It's suggesting that our very sense of self, the person we think we are, can actually become a cage that dictates what we feel, what we think, and ultimately what we do. So let's get a definition on the table. This identity prison, it's not made of steel bars, of course. It's a state of mind. It's when the echo of who you used to be is so deafening that you can't even hear the person you could become right now. Okay, so if we're living in this prison of our own identity, what are the walls even made of? Well, that brings us to the architecture. And check this out. The bricks and mortar aren't just memories. The lyrics use a much stronger word, addiction. An addiction to our memories. That means we're not just remembering the past, we're compulsively reliving it over and over. And that's how we get caught up in the game. We tend to think of memories like old photos in a shoebox, right? We pull them out, look at them, and put them away. But what's being said here is that they're not passive at all. They're active forces. They're like a lens we're always looking through, coloring everything we see today with the shades of yesterday. All right, so we've got the walls of the prison, our addiction to memories. But what's the operating system? How does this thing actually run? Well, think of it like we're all just on autopilot. And the lyrics have the perfect word for it, old programs. These are the habits we've built up over years and years. How we think, how we feel, how we react. And the key thing is they run automatically. We don't even have to press play. And it's a simple, powerful loop. Here's how it works. First, something happens out in the world. That's your trigger. Then, bang, the old program kicks in and you feel those waves of emotion. That leads to a totally automatic reaction, and this is the real kicker. That reaction just proves your old belief right, making the prison walls even thicker. It's a cycle that just feeds itself. And this is where everything collides. It's this crash between who we could be in this new moment and the massive, unstoppable force of our old habits. So what's the end results of all these programs running in the background? The lyrics call it interference, and that's a great word for it. It's like static on the radio. The noise of the past is so loud that you can't hear the music of the present. So what happens when we live like this, stuck inside this prison, running on old code? Well, there's one really big side effect. And here we see this huge contrast, right? Life is happening right now. It's an experience just waiting for us. But instead of grabbing it, what do? We play the blame game. We point the finger at everything and everyone else for why we feel the way we do. So really, it boils down to two different ways of living. You've got life as this direct experience happening in the now, where you're aware and present. And then you've got life inside the prison, where you're stuck in the past, playing the blame game, surrounded by all that static and interference. When you really think about it, blaming other people is just a symptom, isn't it? It's what happens when we don't realize our reaction is coming from our own internal programming. I mean, it's way easier to blame the thing that set you off than to look at the program it triggered inside you. But look, this isn't all doom and gloom. Not at all. Because if we're the ones who built the prison, that means we're also the ones who have the key. And that's the million-dollar question, right? If our lives are just running on autopilot, on programs we never even chose to install, how in the world do we break free? Well, the answer these lyrics give us is kind of beautiful in its simplicity. It's not some complicated 10-step plan or anything like that. It all comes down to just two words. This is it.
This is where we find our power. The key isn't somewhere in the past or future, it's right here, right now. Presence is just showing up for this exact moment. And awareness, that's the flashlight. It's what lets us see those old programs starting to run, and in that tiny gap, it gives us a choice to do something different.
And that brings us to maybe the most freeing idea in this whole thing. The lyrics say that our self is something we play. Just think about that for a second. If your identity is just a role you've been performing, then it's not set in stone. It's not who you are forever. It means you can actually choose to step off the stage and play a totally different part.
So I want to leave you with this final question. Because look, seeing the prison, that's step 1. Understanding how it's built, that's step 2. But the last step, the most important one, is all about choosing freedom. So if your identity really is a performance, what role are you going to choose to play, starting right now?